Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRc and today I'm going to be doing a bit of a news video because the weather outside is awful and it's autumn, so that's to be expected. Now the first bit of news is actually about myself and the channel, and I'm sad to say that somebody out there has been pretending to be me and has been trying to scam vendors, which is just so sad. I mean, this hobby has some of the greatest people on the planet, I believe, but there's some really horrendous people out there. And what they did was set up an email address, which was AndyRcHobby@gmail.com, and they then approached some of the main vendors, pointing to my YouTube channel as if it was me going to a vendor asking to review stuff. And of course their idea was that the vendor wouldn't check that it wasn't a scam and send them a load of free stuff, and of course then the vendor would come to me saying, where's the review? And of course there wouldn't be one. Now luckily all of the vendors came to me to check that it wasn't a scam, so that was a good thing. In fact, it's actually put me in contact with some vendors that I haven't worked with. And of course, the majority of the vendors already have my email address anyways, so I'm not sure how much this has worked for them. But one thing I will say though is I've managed to get the email shut down by Google, so I got a good relationship with Google, and there's now a criminal investigation going on regarding that email address to track down the IP address and the address of the person. So if you are watching this video, I hope you're having fun now and I hope it was worth it. And what I want to put out there for other vendors is that you should definitely check that the person emailing you is the person who owns the channel, because I think review channels are so important in getting information out there, and this kind of thing could deter vendors from, using review channels. So my advice would be, if a YouTuber contacts you, then the easiest thing to do is just send them a message via YouTube and get them to confirm it. So that's what I'm going to be recommending to every vendor out there that's interested in getting their products out there, because I think it's a great system. I just think it's such a shame that there are people out there trying to take advantage of that, and I mean, it's fraud and it's stealing, and yeah, so I hate to start the news segment on a negative, but there you go, that's something that's been happening, and hopefully a video like this, if it gets out there, will stop this sort of thing happening. And if you're thinking about doing it, you're going to get in trouble. I've had this email address shut down. There's a criminal investigation going on now. The person could end up in jail or in a lot of trouble. So, yeah, don't do it. Anyways, on a more positive note, there is a lot of stuff coming out at the moment, and specifically from Runcam. We've got loads of stuff coming out from Runcam. I'm struggling to review it by the time they've released the next version of it. So what have we got here? So this is the Eagle 2 Pro, and this one looks interesting. It is a full-size FPV camera, and it switches between 16:9 and 4:3, so you can choose whichever aspect ratio that you would like. And it says here that the 16:9 field of view is 170 degrees and the 4:3 is 140 degrees. Huge input voltage, again 5 volts to 36 volts there. So I'm going to assume that this is a CMOS camera. It doesn't mention it on there, so let's see if we've got anything in the instructions. Yeah, so it doesn't mention anywhere in there about this one being CCD, but usually when it comes from Runcam and it is CCD, they mention it, and if it's a CMOS then they don't put it on there, I guess, because it's not like a main selling feature where a CCD is. Anyways, yeah, I need to apologize to Runcam because I'm behind with their reviews. In fact, they sent me the original Eagle 2, so Eagle 2 and Eagle 2 Pro. So yeah, this one's already appeared on the channel here, so maybe I can check out the differences between those two. They also sent me a lens for it. This is called the RC18 Lens, supposedly a wide-angle lens for the sparrow style cameras, so I need to check that out. And check this out. I bet you haven't heard of this one yet, or maybe you have. I certainly hadn't. It is a tiny CMOS camera from Runcam. They are calling it the Runcam Nano, and it's designed for like micros, like super micros, maybe even a tiny whoop. It doesn't have a built-in VTX. But you can see here it takes 3.3 volts to 5.5 volts, so a shorter voltage range there. 2.1mm lens, a field of view of 160 degrees, and it's a CMOS camera there. So actually listed that it's CMOS. This is the PAL version. It weighs 3.7 grams, so actually not that much lighter than the Swift Micro. But yeah, still an interesting little camera. Be interested to see if it performs anywhere near close to the other Runcam cameras, because even when they have a CMOS camera, they seem to somehow make them better than the all-in-one cameras out there. And a little birdie has told me that soon we may see a Runcam Split 2. I don't have any other information about it, but I think it might be on the way. Right, so while I'm still on the subject of Runcam, I did a review of the TX200, which turns the Swift Micro into a all-in-one. And I have added a new antenna to it, because you got a sleeve dipole antenna with it out of the box, but the Furious FPV antennas fit. You've got the little connector on there, so I've updated that. So that's a really nice all-in-one CCD camera now, which is cool. So the next thing I want to talk about is this guy. This is Furibee's answer, or Gearbest's answer, to the Eachine Lizard. Now, it's kind of a cross between the Eachine Lizard and the awesome Q95, hence the name. So it's called the Furibee Q95, wait for it, Dinosaur. You get it? Lizard, dinosaur. Anyway, it's a little bit cheaper than the Lizard, and this one's come with an XM receiver as well. Some interesting design choices there. We don't have a cloverleaf antenna for the camera, even though we've got the protection for it. And there doesn't seem to be an on-screen display hooked up, despite it being an omnibus on-screen display board. So anyways, I'm going to have to check this out a little bit more. But yeah, this has turned up. Now, I want to talk about Topsky, kind of a controversial subject at the moment. So I reviewed these goggles and there was a lot of problems with them. I'm happy to say that Topsky have contacted me personally and have said, look, we are working to fix all of the issues that you pointed out, and we want to send you a revised version. Whether I'll actually get that version or not, I don't know, we'll have to see. But I think it's good news, because I want this goggle to succeed. I want all companies to succeed. I mean, I think it can be a great product, but the one that I received, it just wasn't ready for consumers, and that was my opinion. So we'll have to see if the updated version of this turns up. Oh, while I'm here, I want to talk about a podcast that I was on. So I quite often go on the Let's Drone Out podcast. It's on a Thursday at 8 PM, and I got the opportunity to be on the podcast with Chad Kappa, who was the original creator of Flight Test, and David Winderstall, who originally was on Flight Test. And this podcast, it's quite unknown, but it was the first time that David and Chad had sort of chatted publicly online, so it's really interesting. I'll link that in the below if you want to check that out. And the last thing that I want to talk about is a build that I'm going to be doing on the channel. It's based on the Born to Be Best kit. Now this is from GearBest, and it's a 3-inch kit. It's a very unusual kit though, because you get the frame, you get the camera, and you don't get the flight controller. So it all comes in these little layers here, and it's a little bit messy to take apart. So that's the frame, and then under here somewhere we got some motors, really nice motors. Let's have a look. So they are, what's that say? 1606, 3500 kV. So yeah, it's going to be a 4S 3-inch model. We've got all sorts of stuff in here, but interestingly, it does not come with a flight controller or ESCs. So I've gone and got those separately. This is the HGLRC tower stack, I guess you can call it. And yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting build. And that is all of the news for today. So let me know if you're looking forward to any of this stuff, what you are interested in. And I just want to thank everybody for subscribing and supporting the channel. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.